Black Lives Matter, the NAACP. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these very, very important messages and places.
Hey, Wembug World Entertainment, and oh yes, that was Alex Kurtzman actually telling you way back when what their actual plans were regarding Star Trek. That it wasn't going to be about Star Trek, it was going to be about using it as a platform for their messaging. And credit to Gary from Nerdrotic for that clip. I couldn't find that clip forever, and he put it in his news video, so I pulled it from there, so credit to him for that. But when you're seeing him talking about how it's all about BLM and identity and all this crap, when you hear that compared to him saying that the new show, Starfleet Academy, is directly inspired by Harry Potter and X-Men, yeah, you kind of go, what are you doing? Now, we heard him say before this show came out that it was inspired by Harry Potter, that he wanted it to be Harry Potter in space. That was his words. Now he's added the X-Men into that. So we're going to have a look at the article and even look at a part of the clip for what he says, and then we'll just read the rest of it. But it's saying here, Star Trek Starfleet Academy's executive producer Alex Kurtzman and Noga Landau revealed the new series Harry Potter and X-Men First Class Inspirations. Kurtzman directed the first 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy, which premiered on Paramount Plus and is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, while Landau co-wrote the second episode. That explains a lot, especially when you hear her talk. She sounds like she ate Tide Pods for, a good while. She doesn't exactly sound like the sharpest tool in the shed. But every one of these articles seems to really try and push this. It was certified fresh. Who cares? What about the audience score? Why don't you just mention that? Oh, that's right, it's review bombing, you morons. Plus, it's also been a disaster for Paramount from the sounds of things. That, remember they said, hey, it finally charted, but even though it was at number 7, yeah, apparently it's already dropped out of the charts within 4 days. So Paramount Plus's newest and most youthful live action Star Trek series primarily takes place aboard the USS Athena, a starship that also doubles as Starfleet Academy's campus. Upon arriving aboard, Starfleet Academy's cadets and audiences are immersed in the gorgeously designed school. Good God, what kind of drugs are you people taking? With classrooms, auditoriums and pavilions named after some of Star Trek's greatest icons. Okay. The problem, you see, they're putting that down as when you see it saying the James T. Kirk Pavilion. The thing is, we're not even sure if that's on the ship, because they are in San Francisco and walking in an area that is clearly just a building. So the ship seems to connect to the top of a building. So it's a high probability that that area is in the building, not the ship. So at Star Trek Starfleet Academy's press junket, Screen Rant's Liam Crowley mentioned how Starfleet Academy evoked the feeling of attending Harry Potter's Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and X-Men's Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. Alex Kurtzman and Noga Landau agreed and explained how Starfleet Academy is similar but also different. So here's the question that this Liam Crowley asked. So he said, what I love about this series is it's reminiscent of some of my favourite mythological schools brought to live action life. Hogwarts and Harry Potter, Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters in the X-Men movies. Did you draw inspiration from any of the properties that came before that kind of had a similar structure layout? And also, what efforts did you make to make sure Starfleet Academy was different from the typical school structure we see in these fantastical worlds? So I'll play the first section of what he says and then we'll read the rest of it, because otherwise we'll probably get hit. But here is how he starts off and explains that, yeah, it is based off of X-Men and Harry Potter. Here, have a look.
Yes, X-Men First Class, as well as Harry Potter in general. And I think the thing that was always, for us, really interesting about Harry Potter was how much we loved the teachers as much as we loved the students. And we knew that for this particular show, it was going to be critical to love the teachers as much as we love the students. But then it's Star Trek, it's its own thing, right? So you're kind of looking at a template, but you're not looking at the same details.
So you see there, they're saying it's like the same template and stuff like that. And of course, he thinks that you're going to get in connection with the characters and the teachers, which you'll see more of what he's saying here. So he also said, what I think we love about the show is that if you watch any other Star Trek show, you're meeting characters who are actualized, fully actualized. They're already on the ship. They've been assigned. They've chosen the course of their life. That's not what's happening here. You've got cadets who are coming in who often think they want to do one thing and then will end the 4 years doing something entirely different. By the way, I don't ever remember Starfleet Academy only lasting 4 years. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it's longer. So he also said, and that journey of self-discovery allows these characters to make mistakes that typically characters in Star Trek shows wouldn't be allowed to make. And the fact that they've learned in what is essentially a teaching hospital out in space and real life Star Trek stories where the stakes are real, I think gives this show its own special sauce. Right there again, you can hear how much he actually does not understand or knows Star Trek. To say, oh, they're not allowed to make mistakes in real Star Trek, but in this one they're allowed to make mistakes and blah blah blah. Again, Wesley Crusher and Jean-Luc Picard failed the entrance exam to get into Starfleet. That's what happened. They didn't get into the academy immediately. And when Wesley finally did get into the academy, do you remember what happened? He ended up on trial for the death of one of his fellow cadets. Remember that? So to say you're in that universe you couldn't make mistakes and now you can, it's ridiculous. But Lando said, something that's really special about Starfleet Academy is that it exists as an idea before Hogwarts, before X-Men First Class. It's been out there forever, but no one's really lived in it. No one's really been able to see it yet. And so I think that's the most exciting thing. People have been waiting, some for decades, to be able to go to Starfleet Academy. To try and say that Starfleet Academy has existed before X-Men. Now, she specifically says X-Men First Class, which just shows you that's all she knows, because she literally has just been told X-Men First Class, so she clearly doesn't know. But Charles Xavier, his school and stuff, yeah, it's been around a slightly bit longer than Star Trek, or more so Starfleet Academy, and not to show the actual idea of Starfleet Academy. So Alex Kurtzman is right that one of the strengths of the Harry Potter franchise was that the professors at Hogwarts were enduring mentors, as was Professor X in the X-Men movies. Star Trek Starfleet Academy's viewers feel like they want to be taught by instructors like the Doctor and the Chancellor, Captain Nala Ake. Are you kidding me? No, you don't. And what I think is hilarious right there with that statement that they say, oh, the mentors that were in Hogwarts are the exact ones you want here. You want them to be your mentors and stuff like that. The Doctor, do you remember what the Doctor says to the retarded hologram? He straight away says, I'm nobody's mentor, even though he's teaching classes. He's teaching a science class, he's teaching an opera class, all this stuff, but he tells the holographic cadet, which makes no sense, I'm nobody's mentor. So what exactly is he doing there then? Why is he teaching classes if he's not a mentor? And to try and say, you want these people to be your mentor? Are you kidding me? Hey, do you know what's a great mentor to have through Captain Nala Ake. The fact that she won't teach you about diplomacy, she'll just straight up show you how to murder someone that goes against you, because that's what she does. As soon as she's told, Captain, we've got shields and weapons back, does she give the order, disable that ship? No, she straight up says, blow that thing to hell. So they straight up murder people, which is just ridiculous. And then says, as Noga Lando points out, Starfleet Academy is now being fully realised after only being occasionally seen in prior Star Trek TV shows and movies. While Lando is right that Starfleet Academy predates J.K. Rowling creating Hogwarts and the X-Men First Class movie, Stan Lee did create the Xavier School for Uncanny X-Men comics in the early 60s. So you see, it's pretty much right on par with Star Trek, but slightly before. So again, she clearly doesn't know anything about X-Men. She was just heard the name X-Men First Class and went, oh yeah, Starfleet Academy. There's also reasons we didn't see Starfleet Academy. Don't forget, Rick Berman did for years actually consider doing a Starfleet Academy show. But basically they were told, no, Star Trek is more about the exploration and being with the characters who are already the best of the best and stuff like that, who are out in the field. Nobody really wants to watch a 24th century version of high school. That's basically what they were looking at. And that's exactly what we have now, except it's the 32nd century. Nobody in this is the best of the best. They're criminals. They're fat. They're disabled. They're blind. You know what I mean? They're idiots. They're retards. Like, it's ridiculous to think of these cadets compared to the cadets we've already met in actual Star Trek is just like, it's like watching completely two different franchises, which is also something Kurtzman really is trying all the time. He is trying to make this thing more like Star Wars and other things like that than Star Trek. Like, to think the inspiration for Starfleet Academy wasn't Star Trek itself and the stories we've heard from the Academy. No, it was Harry Potter and X-Men. Yeah, because that just screams Star Trek. But there you go, folks. They're comparing the whole identity of the show to Harry Potter and X-Men. The Harry Potter one we've heard Kurtzman talk about, that he says this is like Hogwarts in space. And after seeing bits of it, you're like, yeah, you can see that alright. X-Men's a new one added into that list. But don't forget, as that clip said at the beginning of the video, it was no longer about Star Trek. It was about using the brand as a platform for their messaging. So, what do you guys think of all of this? And did you see any similarities between Hogwarts and X-Men in Starfleet Academy? Of course you didn't, because you probably didn't watch Starfleet Academy, but through the trailers and stuff, do you see any of that? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, all that good stuff. You know the drill. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.